We just witnessed the premiere last night, and some of you are probably finishing up here today with the live stream, but it was a great episode. I won't spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I'm going to give you my 2 cents, a little recap, if you will, having lived it, and just for some clarity and my side of the story just a little bit. I thought the edit was great. It was really fun to watch. It was especially fun to watch my cast members out there doing their thing and getting to see everyone having some fun. Building up to this event was a lot. We went through a lot to get to the actual launch day, and just to relive it was just amazing. It was worth all of it. All the rough times, all the struggles, all the preparation was all worth it to get to go and have a shot. The first thing that comes up on this first episode is strategies being different for everyone. And in my case, I'm a roamer, nomad, a lot of time in the woods, very comfortable, more at home in the woods than I am anywhere else. Weather being as it was, shelter's not my biggest concern, and it certainly isn't that big of a deal in September. And when you don't know your area, especially in these cases, and if you're moving and hunting in new woods, just throwing up a permanent shelter doesn't make any sense. You don't know where your food is, you don't know where your water is, you don't know where not to be, and you don't know how far you're going to be traveling to certain areas. We haven't scouted or seen these areas at all. It's all blind random. So really good first day of wandering, getting some food put on the table, getting my bow kind of used to shooting up into the trees and recovering arrows and whatnot. Was a great day. And then getting caught in some rain is a normal day in the life of the GoPro Idaho Benji Hill program. I'm not ever too concerned about it. I always got my fire starter and ferro rod, a couple different tools, and rain jacket. Big deal. No problem. Moving on. Had slept better than I've ever slept out there. So, my shelter of just a quick tarp and under a tree and in my sleeping bag was just epic for the first part of this season. So next thing that was pretty, well noted and possibly different from what other contestants have done, and was the choice of salt in my repertoire. I think the nutritional side of this challenge can't be overlooked, and how you feel is just so important for having a good experience and for having a successful experience. So in my case, I've seen enough people go without salt and just end up suffering blindly as their electrolyte levels deplete to unhealthy levels. And, there's a lot of risks to that. And I just wanted to not be on that program. The Himalayan pink salt I took has notably 84 different trace minerals. And those minerals it's like a superfood, and when you run out of minerals, your body doesn't function optimally. And if you could take in something that would help you in this kind of a losing event as you're losing weight and losing energy and the weather's closing in on you, if you could keep your body functioning more optimal, it seems like a no-brainer. So in my case, optimal hydration, better digestion, better sleep are a few of the noted benefits to supplementing with salt and having a healthy level of salt in your diet, which the RDA totes as 2,300 milligrams or 1 teaspoon. I would say I was probably over that just because of my activity level. Anything that the RDA says recommended daily allowance is probably for the average human. I'm just not average, I don't believe. So I felt like I could just probably double that and do pretty well. And if you play around with it enough, as I have, I've fasted with salt and fasted without salt, you feel dramatically different. So if you haven't done that, I recommend you try it. on a 24 or 48 hour fast with salt water or just plain water and see how your body does. But mine starts to cramp a lot and I get very lethargic and tired. And those are two things, if anything, I didn't want to experience out in those Labrador woods. I wanted to be able to take it to the hills and get after it and have a great adventure and a great experience. And above all else, be able to perform and, you know, put up a good fight and try and go get some food sources and be proactive about it. So that was a big part of my decision with salt. And it did cost me my saw, which would have been obviously another tool, but you know, got to let something go. And that's why this show is so awesome. You can't bring it all. If you could bring 12 items, it would be a no-brainer. And then again, if you could only bring 5, it would get really challenging. So salt was awesome. My nutritional approach is another topic that I kind of wanted to discuss because unlike maybe what you see in the edit is people nibbling on berries, having a little squirrel, having a bite of grouse, having some bladder rack. I'm an all in or all out type of guy. And I do that with my nutrition. I'm either eating a surplus of calories or no calories, feast or famine. And I believe in survival, that works best because of how it affects your hormones, especially leptin and ghrelin, and also just how you feel, like to finally feel satiety to some degree versus just nibbling and always being starving. So the rationing of food wasn't really going to be a part of my plan. If I could do it, I really wanted to go hand to mouth. And if I caught 12 fish like I did in episode 1, I was going to eat all 12 of those little fish and overeat to some degree instead of ration out 3 minnows or 3 small trout a day for 5 days. Because if you have done that too, like I have, eating the small meals just makes me hungrier. And you know what else it does is that insulin spike back in your system when you eat tends to facilitate more amino acid or more protein loss. And I'm shooting for ketosis out there. That's why my body fat was so high and why my body composition looked horrible. I was over 20% body fat, and that was the fuel for ketosis. So that was planned. That's not how I walk around on this planet anymore. I don't like carrying body fat. And it was one of the hardest parts of this challenge, was putting on straight body fat and actually losing muscle to some degree so that I could live off less calories per day metabolically and have more fat to burn in ketosis. So big parts of this challenge that are out there and the way I'm going at them are not such a big focus, primarily in the beginning on shelter. As you saw in my boxers, it was a sunny day, went out swimming. You know, it's not a big deal. You can tarp out for quite a while in September in most climates. And then the nutrition strategy of, you know, feast or famine, and then obviously the salt being really important for the long haul and just for enjoying your food, morale, balancing your body pH, and just increased energy and overall well-being while fasting, which is a guarantee. If you go on this show, you're going to be fasting. So why not supplement your fasting and be more with it and more on top of it when you get out there and get after those animals and the trapping and just have a better experience overall. So I really feel like that was a good trade for my saw. The other things are how well all the other contestants are doing. I really like how Igor's getting out there, checking out his whole unit. Fun to see his zone and the challenges that he's facing trying to find a shelter location. I feel like I did the same thing on the first few days in that I roamed all over, you know, part of my shelter, hit the boundaries a few times, and ended up being probably within a couple hundred yards of my helicopter landing spot, all said and done, and kind of filled my boots up going across all kinds of swamps and marshes for nothing. But that's part of recon, and I can feel for Igor doing that, and really good to see him eating some good healthy bladder rack and getting some vitamins and minerals in him. Also, Jock is knocking down his first traditional harvest, I think. He's a new recurve hunter, so super stoked for him to double up on squirrels and grouse. And Carrie Lee went through some really good challenges getting strong enough to pull legal bow for this challenge. 44 pounds is the minimum draw weight at your draw length, and hers is 25. So she had to pull 44 pounds at 25-inch draw. And that took her some time, I think, this summer. And if you haven't bowed up and adapted to that, it's a lot harder to shoot a heavier bow accurately. It's also harder to shoot a heavier bow as your strength and stamina and calories fade. So it'll be interesting to see how she shoots her bow as the months or days go by, however long she ends up using that bow and being out there. Also, Jessie showed great composure and just getting out there, getting into the thicket, putting up a really nice shelter and having a bear encounter right off, which was super cool. And not blowing any of the horns or sending off flare guns or freaking out about the whole thing. She was super composed and just casual about it. And obviously like her attitude and not wanting to kill more than you need to, and understanding that in order for us to stay out there, though, that something was probably going to have to trade its life for us to stay and enjoy that experience. So the rest of the crew, Timogen, Tom, Adam, who else, and Terry, look forward to seeing you guys out there, and I'll get another recap going next week. So enjoy it and watch it again, and we'll see you next week.